I'm giving the players credit, I'm giving the manager credit, I'm giving the coaches credit. Don't try to blame it on something else. I think it's a slap in the face.
This is SportsCenter.
Putting the team on his back, Brett Laurie has a grand game as tempers flare between the Jays and A's, while Alex Anthopoulos sounds off about claims the Jays are stealing signs.
They saw the UFO flying across the sky.
Following Steve Williams' outburst, Tiger Woods has his chance to respond to his former caddy.
I sent Steve a nice text.
And a stunner at the Rogers Cup as number 2 in the world, Rafa Nadal, is ousted in the second round. SportsCenter on your TV set. A's and Jays Toronto, the subject of some sign-stealing questions on Wednesday. We'll have more on that a bit later in the show, but the fans were having fun with it. As was Casey Janssen in the pen, wearing his Tim Hortons coffee cup binocs. To the game day debut of Henderson Alvarez, 8-4 in AA this season, an ERA under 3. Up a run in the third. Gets Jamal Weeks looking for his first career strikeout. Next batter, Cliff Pennington. Same result, strong start for the 21-year-old, but in the fourth inning, Dave DeJesus golfs on a straightaway center field, has just enough to clear it. His 8th. The A's would add 2 more in the frame, and they would take the lead. We go to the 6th inning. Scott Sizemore, base hit to left, that'll put 2 on, and that is it for Alvarez. He allowed 8 hits over 5 2/3. He got a standing O from the Toronto crowd. Alvarez, 3 runs allowed in his Major League debut. Everybody happy about that. Bottom 6, Jays within 1. The bases are loaded for the Langley, BC native, Brett Laurie. Just his second pro game in his home and native land. Smacks the 2-0 pitch to left for a grand slam, people! The first of his brief career. And you think I'm pumped? He's more pumped. He's completely pumped in the dugout. He gives the Jays the lead, and he loses his bucket in the process. Laurie's next time up, after Lind has a chuckle over the whole he loved it. Laurie's next time up, he gets a hold of it again, and it almost clears the wall. Not quite, though. It's a double. He'd later score. A couple of batters later, Jordan Roberto plunged Yunel Escobar on the first pitch of his at-bat. Obviously, Escobar didn't like that, and that would clear the dugouts and the pens. But there was a lot of talk. It wasn't much else. The talk of the game was that guy, Brett Laurie. 8-4 your final. After Wednesday's game, Brett Laurie has 7 hits in his first 18 at-bats. He's hitting .389. I just worked that out. 2 home runs, 6 ribeyes in his first game, his first 5 games in the big leagues. He is the second Canadian, by the way, to hit a grand slam with the Jays, Matt Stairs being the other. Brad Mills will start the finale Thursday afternoon. Here's Laurie on his rather expressive and maybe a little excessive dugout celebration.
I don't know. It all happened so fast. I hope I didn't hurt anybody. I never meant to. Just trying to hit a deep fly ball at that point, obviously just to get a run. I wasn't trying to hit any home runs or anything like that, and I was just fortunate enough that the ball just carried a little more than I thought it was going to, and grand slam, so it was pretty cool.
And the curtain calls. We welcome you to SportsCenter along with Natasha Staniszewski. I'm Jay Onright. So what a great way to start. We're going to stick in the American League East, Natasha, with the Boston Red Sox.
That's right. Moving on to the Red Sox. They're on a 4-game winning streak heading into this one.
Yankees victory. There it is. We mentioned off the top that the Blue Jays have been accused of stealing signs in an investigative report in ESPN, the magazine. The report says that it wasn't a player who tipped pitches, but rather a mysterious man in white who sat in the outfield seats. This is an approximation. As Catherine Dolan found out Wednesday, GM Alex Anthopoulos has some strong feelings about the article.
This whole thing is stupid. It's unbelievable that we're sitting here to even talk about this. But I understand it's a story, and gonna make ourselves accountable.
Drawing more than double the crowd normally assembled before Blue Jays game, GM Alex Anthopoulos marveled at the media there for what he called a non-story. In an investigation by ESPN, the magazine, 4 unidentified relief pitchers claim they saw a man in the fall of 2010 wearing white, sitting in center field seats at the Rogers Center, lifting his arm only when off-speed pitches were called. Some of the pitchers went even further, saying they saw the same man as far back as 2009.
I don't think it's too hard to find a former coach, a former player, a former front office executive, a former clubhouse guy, a former field guy, not one person. Instead, let's find 4 players on some other team claiming that they saw the guy in the white shirt and they saw the UFO flying across the sky, and let's write a huge story and make a big stink about it.
They're misguided, and to even give any more credence to it or credibility to it, again, is they're unfounded comments, and if anything, we'll use it as a motivator.
While the Jays deny any wrongdoing, the ESPN article goes even further, statistically breaking down the team's success hitting the long ball at home versus on the road. In 2010, the Jays hit 146 home runs at the Rogers Center, just 7 shy of the all-time home run record set by the Rangers in 2005. The story also goes on to say a handful of players' numbers were much better at home than on the road, including Adam Lind, Aaron Hill, Yunel Escobar, and Jose Bautista.
We think it's ridiculous. We think it's funny. At the same time, these are some kind of serious allegations, so we have some people that are pretty upset.
Our players do a good job. I'm giving the players credit. I'm giving the manager credit. I'm giving the coaches credit. You want to try to blame it on something else? I think it's a slap in the face.
Bautista was interviewed for the ESPN article. He says he was confronted by one of the relief pitchers who angrily accused him and the team of stealing signs. Bautista confirmed the pitcher was with the White Sox, but would not say who it was.
Last year was about steroids. Now it's about signs in the outfield. I'm intrigued to see what they're going to come up with next.
I'm hitting 200, so if I knew what signs were coming, you think that we wouldn't be, completely dominating everyone that comes to this field. So I think it's just it's a joke.
According to the ESPN article, a few of the bullpen relievers took to the field the following day to test the theory. One of them stood on the batter's box, the other stood on the mound. From their vantage point, they said it was the perfect possible positioning for the player, as they wouldn't have to move their head or change their line of sight in order to get the sign. They said it was though he was a sniper looking for the best possible shot. Maybe
that's why they had that edge walk out there, is because they caught on to the one on the field here. So maybe if we have to keep our dome open, but we'll have somebody out there in the edge walk giving us the sign. It's easy to see from up there. The catcher's sign is a little bit easier. So.
The Blue Jays refute any claims of cheating as suggested by the ESPN article. Alex Anthopoulos says at no point has he ever received any complaint, email, text, or phone call from anyone about his team cheating. Catherine Dolan, TSN, Toronto.
Well, here's a look at a couple of Blue Jays home run numbers last season. At home, they led the majors in home runs per at-bat. Their home run rate nearly doubled their opponents at Rogers Center, but the Jays did only hit .254 at home last season. That's 10th out of 14 American League teams. With more on this whole situation, here's ESPN's John Buccigross with one of the authors of the story, Amy K. Nelson.
Amy, of course, as you know, stealing signs has been a part of baseball for a very long time, whether it's the third base coach giving signs or the guy on second looking in the catcher. Talk about this and why players are so upset at this particular stealing signs incident.
Well, these players were so upset, John, because they witnessed what they told us, myself and co-writer Peter Keating, a blatant disregard for the rules of play. And what those, I guess, unwritten rules of play are is that everything's fair game on the field. If you're going to steal signs, it's our fault for not protecting them.
Okay.
But because this was outside the field of play and because it was, to them, so obvious, that's what really offended. And, it offended them so much, they actually even started sending word to a few players around the league, hey, listen, if you're going up to Toronto, make sure you switch up your signs.
So how do you investigate something like this, first of all, and will Major League Baseball take the time to do it?
Well, I spoke to a spokesman last night, and as of last night, they had not received any formal complaints. The commissioner's office had not. There had not been any investigations launched whatsoever. And it is difficult. I do want to make the point that, listen, these guys are professional hitters. Some are power hitters. We are not alleging that every single home run hit in 2010 by a Blue Jays player was necessarily done so with the aid of a guy from in the outfield seats.
Right.
That being said, it was so much of a concern and bothered some players that they thought it was so blatant that one of them confronted Jose Bautista about this. So whether or not it's going to advance past this, obviously unsure, but as of last night, there was no formal investigation and no formal complaint logged with the commissioner's office, even though Yankees manager Joe Girardi sort of alluded to the fact that this may be happening a few weeks ago. Nothing from the commissioner's office officially.